Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Craig Peters here from Soundiron, and welcome back to the Soundiron Podcast. Today is a special one as we have the whole Soundiron crew here. We just released a new upgrade for Elvish Choir. So joining me is
Mike Peasley,
Greg Stevens,
Nathan Bowler,
and Spencer Nonamaker.
Yeah, so we recently released the new Elvish Choir upgrade, which is it's been a Catman disappeared.
Catman. Lean into your camera, Greg, so everybody can see that awesome mask.
what leaning where?
Yeah.
that's close enough.
Man.
Look into his eyes.
Yeah. The famous mask from the EVP Patrol Squad. Episode
It's weird how good the
3?
eyes are.
No, 4. Episode 4.
You've killed us a few times.
Yeah, number of people.
Well, I think you've killed me and Nathan once. I think you might have killed
Ripped my
Mike
head off.
twice.
Yeah.
Killed Spencer at least twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So since we're talking about Elvish Choir, since this is how old is this library actually? Like
10 years.
10 years.
Actually, technically, I think it's 11. I mean, it was Christmas 2009, I want to say we put it out. This was back in the halcyon days of Gnome Hammer in the very beginning. We did it as part of a little flurry of Christmas releases, part of a series called Gnome Hammer. And it was its own little library. I think we've updated it twice. This is the second update, although the previous update was just kind of like a minor, I think it was like a Contact 3.5 update or something. So it was a very minor thing. But yeah, the entire point of that library, and it's that, people have asked, is it just you guys pitched up? No, we nearly killed ourselves probably with a bunch of helium and beer. We got a bunch of white ale and a big tank of helium and balloons, and basically just got fairly drunk and then sang while huffing from helium to kind of keep our voices high. And the problem with that is that if you've ever played with helium, technically, everybody's done it, but it's actually, I guess, theoretically dangerous. You have to keep doing it or your voice keeps dropping back down. And the reason that is because it's lighter than air, so that your vocal cords vibrate at a higher frequency. But in order to keep it displacing all of the oxygen, you have to keep breathing it, because as you're breathing out, it's expelling it because it's lighter. So if you keep doing that, eventually you'll just die. We didn't know it. That wasn't really something that people joked or talked about, but apparently it's been more recently, like somebody, mentioned.
Well, we thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, but it kind of works. So we were basically having to re-huff this stuff every few minutes. We'll include like a little clip of the footage.
It's gonna be tenacious. It's gonna be like, damn it. You can't laugh at me while I'm doing it. It's gonna be tenacious. It's gonna be vivacious. It's gonna be elacious. It's gonna be loquacious.
And this was, at the time, it was when it was Gnome Hammer. We were only around for a couple of years before we went off to create Soundiron, or I guess, it split off to do that. But at the time, it was there was me, Greg, our demon, and Trolls, Fulman, and Simmer Ball, who is a game sound designer and now an app developer. That we were working with back then. And so it was, we recorded it in Oakland at a place called the Cotton Mill, which is just this big industrial loft space that we were using as our office. And it was fun. We got way hammered, and somehow the library turned out pretty good. It had, at the time, just sustains and then like staccatos and kind of percussion. We called it I think it was like ball crunches or something. It was basically kind of like wet, meaty, crunchy smacks combined with like
Glorps.
cries of pain. And then I can't remember what else was in there, but it has been substantially upgraded. Nathan Bowler, our producer, had gone in and recorded a bunch of new stuff at higher quality. Well, we used good mics back then, but it wasn't really our most polished work, which was the point. It was just supposed to be this kind of rowdy, chaotic library just to use for comedy and for fun. And just
you would be surprised actually how many composers email and say like, I love this library, I love small funny libraries like this, and you guys should do more of them. So this is like a much needed upgrade, and I think people are gonna have a lot of fun with it.
So what are some, like, what, when it came to updating or upgrading the library, like what kind of ideas did you have, or what made you want to add the content that you added?
Well, the first thing that we did was plug it into our multi-layer user interface, which just puts everything in one NKI preset, makes it a lot cleaner, a lot more usable. And then I kind of just thought, what should this have in addition to what it already has to round it out? So I added solo do and solo law, and that's 8 round robin to match the previous staccatos. And then I started singing some jingle bells and deck the halls in variety of keys. And the funny thing about that was I was sampling those songs one phrase at a time. And you know how Tom Sawyer is painting the fence white, and all of his friends come and are like, hey, what are you doing? And they end up painting the fence. My wife did that with Deck the Halls. So my wife made a guest appearance singing Deck the Halls. And so we have 2 new elves to join the Elvish Choir.
Nice.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right on.
And yeah, I mean, it's basically, it's like the ideal library for, I mean, it's not just, so kind of like Question Bee Barbershop, it's got those musical elements, but it's also, since it has the chromatic stuff, you can use it for pretty much anything you need, like the sound of like, little, elvish creatures, gnomes, dwarf, whatever you want to kind of evoke, but it's just a very chaotic, it doesn't sound like kids, it sounds like elves kind of thing.
Fantasy.
It's definitely more for comedy. It's not something you would use in a non-comic. But I mean, it can be used, in games or anything like that where you want to evoke that kind of vibe. And
the way I think about it is like first use would be mobile gaming, like a kids app or like some sort of fantasy game on an iPhone.
Yeah. Or I mean, now that Flash is dead, I don't think there are quite as many browser games as there used to be, but that used to be something people used it for. Obviously, soundtracks, and kind of anything else. It's fun, and it's it's a cheap little library just to kind of just for the fun of it. And you can hear it in the demos in our SoundCloud playlist, but it also includes sound design presets and stuff that actually make it quite versatile as a creative library. You can do a lot more with it than just the comedy elements, which we kind of try to make as a standard practice with all of our libraries. We try to include design content to so that each library is its own little standalone musical world that you can explore.
Yeah, all the effects presets kind of have a little bit of a different vibe. Like some of them even have kind of like a synthy kind of electronic feel to them. Some of them are very straight up like elf choirs and stuff, or like super bunch of reverb, and it sounds like it's in this huge hall or something. But yeah, there's a lot of variety in the effects presets, and just to kind of show people how that you can do a lot more than just play in some funny elf chants and stuff, which there's plenty of that.
And up in the top right there, that's Nick, our newest team member, sound editor.
Hello.
Hey, Nick.
How goes it? Long time no see.
Yeah.
And once again, Chris refused to be on camera. No, Chris Marshall in the top middle there. I don't know if everybody's titles look the same, but that's our
by the letters
technical director, programmer, and old hand.
Yeah, and then also with this upgrade, we got some new art, courtesy of our art guy, Spencer,
also known as Junior VHS.
Juno VHS in the house.
Multiple threat. Sound guy, or awesome musician, awesome artist.
Well, thank you. Damn, thanks.
Oh, everybody. That's actually what's cool about working with y'all. 'Cause everybody here has like just a whole host of different like skills and interests. So that's kind of why I feel like we've really blossomed in the last few years as we've grown. Is we've brought in all these different minds and different ears and creative sort of people. I don't know. It's just really cool. It always is surprising. I like that we never really know where we're going to go next. We just kind of keep exploring. Some might say that's disorganized and unprofessional, but
yeah,
that's
we got a diverse cast of people, which makes it fun and keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
We got Nick representing Spawn of Possession, so you can see that we're the two resident metal guys.
Right?
Well, I mean, who's to say I'm not a metal guy?
Oh yeah,
I
no,
mean,
you do jam some metal every now and again.
I got black and white shirt too. I got.
He just went
I listen to some metal.
Out on the lettering, so
Yeah, I can read your logo, so it's not
Right.
it's not too metal. Sorry.
If you can,
That
that's
means
true.
I can't. So that means you guys are the metal guys because you can read that font.
Yeah, if you can read it, then you're in.
Yeah,
you know,
that is a nice
Oh,
one.
there we go.
It's a mirror.
That was my first guitar was a Flying V style. I mean, it was a piece of crap, but the style I was drawn to.
King V, not Flying V.
So what's the difference?
Oh,
The Flying V's all
yes, I
rounded,
got one back
kind
here.
of, soft.
Soft.
Goblins don't play guitar. They eat children.
Look, I prefer the term cryptid, okay? You don't pin me down, all right?
Sorry, my bad.
yeah.
So Spencer, do you want to talk a little bit about the art and kind of your concept behind what made you go in that direction?
Well, yeah. So usually when I start the artistic process for one of these libraries, if it's an existing library, I will listen to a bunch of the demos, just through the playlist, get a feel for like the spirit of it, like what's this all about? And I'll put together like really quick mood board, maybe just like 10 images on like Pinterest or something, where I try to, take a bunch of random ideas that I have and collect them in one place where I can just look at them. So those 10 images will have like, a bunch of colors I'm thinking about. I might like the shapes of some things, borrow ideas here and there to really inform the piece. And so from there, I had determined for this one that, I wanted to go like, it was very silly, playful, cute, fun. Those were all things popping up top of my keyword list, I guess. And pretty much just, it was little cute elves. It's an Elvish Choir, so let's have lots of little elves being all cute and stuff.
Definitely fits.
And so, there's a lot of different directions you can go with, these libraries. Like you can do something really photorealistic that looks more 3D modeled, or abstract, illustrative, or like graphic designy, where it's like just graphics, I guess. But for this one, it really felt like to make it fun and to match the spirit of it and stuff, it should be something kind of illustrated that would just, you look at it and makes you laugh kind of, and you get what it's all about. It's a bunch of elves singing, and those elves are funny and they're cute, and some of them are sweating a lot. One's got cool sunglasses. I experimented with farts. I always try to get farts in there, but just didn't land for this one.
They're not serious elves, right? They're not Lord of the Rings elves.
It's not like that. They're more like, well, we're not legally able to draw parallels to Minions, but like definitely inspired by, I guess, like the silly Minions vibe. So to match the aesthetic that I'd come up with, I decided like a vintage, in the holiday season, vintage Christmassy kind of painted illustration from like the 60s, 70s. That would be done in something like gouache, which is an opaque watercolor. And so there are digital gouache brushes in the app I use. And so I just started painting that in Procreate, which is an app on the iPad. Yeah. And I drew some sketches, kind of play with the layout, work up the design, and then flesh it out with more detailed renderings and color and stuff like that. But too nitty gritty. It's just fun and silly, and you know, that's the gist of it. And I hope it turned out good,
Yeah,
because
that's really.
I mean, it's been a long time in the works, like 10 years, like you said.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No, but I mean, I think that's the thing is you know, we love re-exploring everything that we've done. Because I mean, the libraries aren't just, they're not just like generic collections of, oh, this is this instrument represented. I mean, to us, they represent these moments in time, but they're also timeless. The idea is that they're sort of permanent musical toolboxes that can be used in a lot of different ways, but also are, you know, meant to be like, you know, we'll keep updating it periodically over the years, because I don't imagine any of these ever need to sort of like, they're not going to become obsolete. That's really not what we're about, you know, where it was like, okay, let's just move on to the next big thing and throw the old stuff away. Because I don't think that, you know, we take the time even with the Elvish Choir to mic it properly and edit it well and make sure that the quality is there. Even if it's a joke library, you know, just like Flatches or any of the others that we've ever done, where it's a comedic library, or like the 6 series, we'd still take it seriously. You know, that's really still at the heart of it, is that these are, you know, it's funny subject matter, but it's not disposable from our perspective. It's like, make it count, you know, make it so that if somebody's going to take the, you know, to invest in it, even if it's only a couple of bucks, they get their money's worth. They get really, you know, that satisfaction of knowing they can use it, you know.
And it makes sense to me. Like, you know, we're developing a catalog here. You know, it's not, we have a lot of products. You could say, like
over 100.
our product is, our product is all of our products.
Yeah.
So if you just throw them away and you keep moving on to the next thing, I mean, your library is perpetually shrinking.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's good to maintain. Yeah.
It's different than being like, I mean, it's in a way, I've always looked at it like being in a band. In the beginning, it was Greg, Chris, and I, and then we slowly grown. But the point was always, let's do what we want to do. Let's treat each library like an album or a song in our discography. But it doesn't, unlike that, we go back and we explore. Everybody who's been with us, you know, all the customers who've been with us for a long time, they know we've released, you know, we update inevitably everything so that it never falls behind. It never becomes technologically obsolete, because the content's there. It's useful and it sounds cool. And we want it to always be useful. We always want to bring everything we've done forward so that it becomes new and always remains relevant and remains a, you know, worthwhile investment. Whatever they, you know, even if they bought it all the way back then, you know, it's still, now it's even more powerful. It's in the new template, so it has features that the original didn't even touch. You can do stuff with it now that we couldn't even imagine doing with it back then, just simply because of the scale and scope of the user interface that Chris has developed and that Spencer's designed the art and look for. It's just a far more capable library, but you know, with now even more great content to set it apart. So we're really happy with it. And obviously it's, you know, it's good for Christmas.
Like your artwork actually inspired sort of what I did with my demo. Cause like I had imagined like, okay, like if I opened the door and I saw these elves in front of my door, like what would it sound like or something? And I just like kind of based that as sort of like, even like how I like panned everything out. I tried to sort of have that sound like if this elf band was in front of my house doing some caroling or something.
Well, that's great feedback, you know, for the art. That definitely tells me that, you know, I was at least able to tap into a bit of the spirit of the library, I think, which you gotta try to do that. So many libraries I see, the art is just totally canned. Just like it's another one. I like that all of our stuff looks very unique, and you never know what the next one's going to look like. But the main thing is that it's just trying to reflect the spirit of that product as closely as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the essence, to try to convey the feeling behind it, still convey the I guess the exact purpose of it. What is it? So you can kind of tell. And then sometimes, it's impossible. Some musical concepts are just kind of out there, or more esoteric, kind of hard to pin down as one thing. But I think, this really captures it. So you can see just from the art what you're in for. It's comedy, it's fun, but it's definitely useful.
And it sounds really great. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Check out the demos in SoundCloud, especially Nathan's new one. It really kind of explores the new content and captures that feeling, the vibe. It's a great track.
Yeah, there's a lot of really fun demos in the playlist where Fernando's demo, the very first one in the playlist, like that one's really cool. It just like kind of touches a lot of that sort of like comedic, something that would be funny for any kind of like movie score or something, or even just touching on that, Christmas thing, like where you wanted to have that sort of like Deck the Halls or Jingle Bells kind of sound, but in that kind of fun elf way. And yeah, there's a lot of really interesting ones. Chris Cutting's demo is kind of in that dark, a little bit creepy. So I know he was trying to do something different with that one. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool variety, just sort of like the flatulous ones. Like they're just fun to listen to.
Yeah. In a way, it's thing to mention is because the way we styled the original sound of it, we kind of intended it to work well, almost like a horror library too. It almost could be used for Halloween stuff, as like if it were little creatures, little monsters, anything like that, little goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine Greg up there but tiny. He is tiny, I guess.
He's father elf.
Yeah, he's Father Elf. They dance on his shoulders. But it's like, it works beyond just Christmas. I mean, you really have to hear some of the demos really capture that feeling, that it's kind of it's a little bit dark. I guess that's that's true about almost everything we do. We kind of, even we always go a little bit weird with it. And so it's good. It's comedy. It's fun. It's light if you want it to be. It's a little dark and creepy if you want it to be. It works well, kind of either way. So I think that kind of sums it up. It's a cool little library.
Yeah.
Elvish Choir. I think it was originally we called it Gnome Choir, and then Gnomish Choir, and then Elven Choir, but really it's just Elvish Choir.
Yeah.
It'll probably be the name it keeps forever, because at this point I think it just sort of, it is what it is.
But that's like it's like works for gnomes too.
No, that's true. Yeah, it does work for gnomes. And elves and
Or
dwarves,
profiling.
Goblins
and goblins and hobbits.
Yep.
Goblish Choir.
Goblish
Ooh,
Choir.
I'll do another one of just straight like warlock.
Kobolds. It could work for kobolds.
Orc choir.
Yeah, Orcish
No, orcs
Choir.
are too big, right? Orcs are big.
Yeah, if you want Orcish Choir, just take the pitch knob and just crank it down like
It's true.
just minus 12
Yeah.
semitones.
Maybe a little distortion. Maybe a little like rapid pitch modulation with the LFO. That's the thing. It's so flexible. The Soundiron template is very, very flexible.
The user
Anything we put in it can do almost anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, like every time we release a library, we were like, well, what else could it do? And then
Surprising.
yeah, like what, we every time we come up with, we come across some feature idea that we think would kind of give it a little bit more power, we pack it into the UI and then figure out, argue it and figure out how do we fit it without it just turning into a giant mess. Keep things all neat and tidy and easy to navigate while also being, capable of doing lots of crazy stuff. I think we're arriving at a pretty good balance between over capability and simplicity.
I agree. Yeah.
So you can do some crazy stuff. I mean, look, check out the screenshots. Check out Craig's walkthroughs. Nathan, you do a walkthrough too, don't you? Or a composer demo.
Composing, yeah.
So you really can see what you can do with the user interface to get some pretty crazy results really easily. And to really and very straightforward results to really have deep level of automation control to control the sound in real time or automate it in your DAW. So the user interface works well with whatever kind of workflow you prefer as a user. You know, you just want to kind of spin some dials and get some weird sounds. It can do that. If you really want to just have precise control, you know, over your dynamics and all of that, you've got that level of detail. It's got an arpeggiator. It's got filters. It's got all sorts of cool stuff in it.
Yeah, for any of you who pick up the library, definitely explore the custom effects presets, because every time we ever, we start, it's time to do some custom effects presets, like that's always like the fun part of exploring, because it's just like anything, like there's like a million different moves you can make and so many different combinations, and it's like you never really know. I just kind of like to just go in and just start tweaking stuff and not really thinking about it, just kind of exploring what certain features do, because there's a lot in there, a lot of different filter types you can try, different LFO curves and like settings, you can automate stuff. So like there's so many different ways you can kind of take the sound, and and if you're crafty enough, you can even mess with some of the things under the hood. Like sometimes we'll go in and we'll reverse samples and just add different reverb. So that's definitely a good place to start if you haven't really explored the effects rack or anything, or the different stuff in the advanced tab where you have the different LFO filter and arpeggiator. There's a lot of different things you can do. So if you're not sure about that, definitely check out and dissect some of the effects presets, because that's a great place to just kind of explore it and see how things work and modify them, resave them. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with that.
Yeah,
that's good advice for synths too, and it's no different for our instruments. If you want to learn a new interface, it can be helpful to examine the effects presets or just any presets that come with it, and just really get in there and try to pull the threads to see where they lead, and you'll understand how things work a lot more.
Yeah,
it's just good advice. Yeah, for anyone learning a new interface.
Well, thanks a lot for watching our podcast, and hope you guys enjoy the new Elvish Choir.
Yeah.
It's a lot more capable and a lot cooler. And yeah. All right. Thanks, you guys. Check you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Soundiron out.
Soundiron out.